Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. This is episode 1. I'm Yasmyn.
And I'm Madison.
And this is MYLFS podcast.
Also known as Madison, Yasmyn, and Little Friends.
So today we are going to dive deeper into my pregnancy stories and birth stories.
Yes.
For those of you guys who have followed my YouTube channel for a while, you probably know a lot of the details about that already, but we're just going to really dive into all of it.
All the details.
Yeah, all the details, all of the things you've wanted to know about pregnancy symptoms, our birth experiences, all of it. If you guys haven't seen our pilot episode already, this is our first official episode, but we do have a pilot episode, so you guys should go and watch or listen to that as well, so you guys can get a little bit more insight, detail on our background and why we started this.
Get to know us just a little bit.
Yes, but we're so excited to be here and be filming our first official episode for you guys.
We're going to be doing a question of the day every time we do a new episode. So usually we'll have a Q&A or something on our other social platforms. So make sure you go engage on that, because then we will have a specific question that we're going to answer. Well, let's get into the question of the day.
Yes. Okay. So question of the day. Did you feel anything different in those early days before you confirmed your pregnancies? From Loom, I don't want to say this wrong, but Loom Argan. I definitely did have some symptoms before I found out I was pregnant. Not much. The main thing that I noticed with my first pregnancy was literally just my boobs were sore.
Okay, same.
Yes.
With Sawyer?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my tell. I was maybe I need to take a test.
Yes, but which is also kind of difficult because a lot of early pregnancy symptoms are the same as PMS symptoms, but I'd never had that before, so I was this is kind of weird. And I had already missed my period, so I was okay. So then I started taking tests and eventually found out I was pregnant.
Yeah. I never had a regular period, so I just never knew.
Yeah.
But I have little titties, so they were just a little bit bigger and a little more sore. So that's why I was maybe.
One of the best parts of pregnancy is the boobs.
Yeah, until they deflate.
Well, then breastfeeding, those ones are nice too.
But then they really deflate.
Yeah, that's sad. It's really sad. Anyway. I don't think I even had any symptoms with my other two, before I found out.
I didn't think I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I was pretty nah, that's not gonna
happen to me.
Not gonna be me.
Before I get into all of my pregnancy stories, I do have 3 little ones. So I have a 4-year-old, an almost 3-year-old, and an almost 1-year-old. So I have gone through 3 different pregnancies and births, so I have a bunch of different experiences to dive into with you guys, which is fun to kind of compare and contrast all of them, and also with Madison's experiences as well.
Yeah, I just have one.
Yes.
So I've only had one pregnancy, but I feel no matter how many pregnancies one person has, they can all be so different.
Yeah, everyone has very different experiences with pregnancy and birth. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
But yeah, so I have 3. I had my first when I was 17, but I found out when I was 16. So that whole experience was pretty different than finding out once I was in a more stable relationship and financially supporting myself and all of that. I found out I was pregnant with Layla. I was in a relationship with her dad, but not really. We're no longer together and haven't been together since I was pregnant. I found out right after we had broken up, and I took a bunch of tests, and I was completely in denial of the fact that they were positive.
How many tests did you take? Because I took a ton. Even with the digitals that would say pregnant, I was yep, that one's wrong. New digital test.
Yeah. I want to say I probably took 5 or something before. And I wouldn't get the digital ones because I think I was so in denial. I was no, I don't want it to just say pregnant. But in my head, I knew. But also it was the same thing. I was just no, it wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
There's no way. I wasn't on birth control at the time. So but I was so young and just dumb,
I was too. Yeah.
So yeah, I just really thought it wasn't that easy to get pregnant. So.
And it's technically really not.
It's not.
There
really is only a small window of a couple of days that you really can get pregnant, but I'm very fertile, so
me too.
It just happens every time. They were definitely faintly positive. I was in high school at the time, so I finally asked my school nurse's office. I actually went to go get the pill because at our high school they offer birth control pills
at the wellness center.
Yeah, which is really cool. I've never heard of a school doing that, but I was going to get on birth control. I think they had to know when your last period was to get you on it.
They probably have to make sure you're not pregnant to give it to you.
Yeah, that's probably also what it was. I don't know why.
I remember just getting birth control even when I was younger. Like, they had to give me a pregnancy test to make sure that they could give me the birth control. So that
was probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so they called me down to the office. I like asked them to like test me to see if I was pregnant because I thought that there was a possibility. And they called me down to the office during school and did like a test there and were like, yeah, you're pregnant. And they called me.
Then Yasmyn went right back to class.
Yeah, right back to class, right to the cafeteria, crying. And that was a crazy experience because it's kind of everyone's worst fear, I feel like, as a girl in high school.
Well, you were also in like a weird, like in high school, like she was new.
Yeah.
So like that was a little more interesting. You were in like a situationship.
Yeah, a terrible situationship. I found out, I immediately panicked and like I just did not know what to do. But my first response was that initially I didn't even think it was a possibility for me to have this baby. Like I thought that I was going to get an abortion. So my first response was I called my baby daddy and like told him to come pick me up from school, told him I was pregnant and I was going to get back together with him just so he would pay for my abortion. I don't know if I've ever said that before.
That's one way to do it.
But then, because I just kind of panicked, so that was like, I don't know.
I feel like you have so many emotions. Like when you find out, you're just like, it's either one or the other. You literally are just like sitting there with no thoughts, or you have so many emotions that are just running through your head and you just don't know. Yeah. You just don't know anything. Like you could ask like, what's 1 + 1? And you just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, so then I went and I lived with my aunt at the time. I'm very close with her.
We love Kim.
Yeah, we love her. I think I told my mom, who I wasn't living with or like super close with at the time, but I told her and she, you know, like was supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I told my aunt a few weeks later and she was the one who really helped guide me on like making a decision. Obviously I ended up having Layla. That whole like experience of finding out I was pregnant was like so different than my other ones, which were like more exciting. Also still a little bit like panicky because only really my second child was planned.
Wait, Anna was planned?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, just like not like we had planned on like trying to get pregnant, but it was just not
a lot quicker.
Yeah, like she, as soon as I got my ID out, yeah, so she's like literally as soon as I took out my ID, I got pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which is a thing. Like apparently people will get IUDs and then have them removed. Like
I will never get an IUD. I've heard so many bad things about them.
Yeah, I don't recommend. Not to say I'm like anti-birth control for anyone, because like definitely is.
I am
necessary, but for me,
not a fan for myself.
Yeah, for me, I
don't take them very goodly.
Yeah.
So what about your other pregnancies with like Analia and Millie? Did you also have like similar feeling, like maybe you were pregnant? Were you in denial? Like
yeah. So with Analia, oh god, how did I even find out with her?
The second child.
Okay. So with Analia, like I was saying, we had planned a little bit more on getting pregnant. I was with my fiance, like my current fiance now, and we got together when my oldest daughter was 4 months old. We got together, started dating, ended up moving in together, and then got pregnant like pretty shortly after. I think that I had just, like same thing, I had just missed my period, but also I had just had an IUD that I'd taken out, so I wasn't like on a regular cycle yet. But I had missed my period, and then I was out of town for a while. I like was traveling for like 2 weeks, just Layla and I, and Logan was home, and I was like with a bunch of my friends. I was with
Were you
Gabby.
with Gabby?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember seeing that on social media.
I was with Gabby, and Gabby is one of my best friends. If you guys don't know her, she's like, I was one of my best mom friends, like still is, but we lived in Hawaii together for a while, and her daughter is like right in between my 2 older daughters' ages, so like we just had the best little girl group, and it was so much fun there.
Labby.
Yes. But anyways, so I was visiting her when she was like super pregnant with Lav, like about to have Lavender, and I was pregnant with Anna, but like just didn't know yet. So we always love like looking back at pictures of that time because we were both pregnant like together.
Yeah.
I didn't know yet.
Which I feel like, so like I know Gabby didn't announce her pregnancy with Lavender, but I feel like with Layla, you really didn't post as much as like normal with Millie and Anna. I feel like you were in a similar situation.
I definitely was like hiding it.
Yeah, you didn't like put it out there as much. So not like hiding it, but like just like hinting at it here and there.
I definitely did. Even when I would post on like Snapchat and like things that weren't like my public Instagram and stuff, I would like kind of hide it. But it was a known thing.
I remember like when your rumors were going around, nobody was really sure.
Really?
Yeah, because we're like,
Yeah,
that's a
because a
rumor.
lot of people thought that I, like, didn't end up keeping her, too.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that part. I just was
Yeah.
like, nobody knew if it was true or not because
Yeah.
you, like, didn't, like, post about it or anything.
Mystery
And then you weren't in school. So I was like, is she or is she not?
Yeah.
Like, definitely kept us on our toes. And then your Instagram post of, like, when Layla was born was like, oh, she had a baby.
Yeah. Oh, that was so fun. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So I come home from this trip, and I hadn't got my period yet, so I was, like, starting to suspect. And I think, like, right after I got home, I was, like, telling Logan about it, and we ended up taking a test, and it was positive. And it was, like, I think we just took one. And I have a video of us, like, finding out, and it's actually so cute. Yeah, we both were definitely kind of freaking out, because it was, like, we had been talking about, like, maybe trying for a baby. Obviously, we hadn't been together for that long, so it was definitely early for us to be talking about that. We had been living together, wanted to start trying. I just didn't think we would get pregnant as fast as we did, but I got pregnant immediately. And now we have baby Anna, so.
Baby Anna is almost 3.
I know, it's crazy. So that was honestly probably the most, like, chill finding out I was pregnant. And then Millie.
I remember this one.
Yeah, so with Millie, it was like we were not trying to get pregnant, but at that point I also, like, I wasn't on birth control, but I was using, like, natural birth control methods, tracking my cycle, which we can, like, go more into all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Deeper as well, because I think that's
family planning.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Yeah, failed attempt at natural family planning. And now we have Millie. I love her so much, and I honestly, like, now at this point, like, just to put this out there, like, I'm very pro-choice. I never would have thought that I would have get an abortion, and at that time in my life, like, that's never what I wanted. But now I could say that if I were to get pregnant again, I probably would, just because I know what my limits are, and I don't.
Also 3 kids under the age of 4.
Yeah, so, like, I wouldn't, like.
You know what you want.
Yes.
You know, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, at that time, like, we were not planning on having a third, but, like, we wanted to, like, once I got pregnant, we, like, wanted to have her. So, but it definitely was panic for a little bit.
How was Logan?
He was not good. He was having a really rough time.
What happened with Logan?
So Logan threw up. It was actually pretty crazy because his mom was okay. It was again a similar situation. I was away, like, out of town on vacation, and missed my period, so I was kind of like, am I pregnant? And I usually have a pretty regular cycle, so, like, I'll miss it, like, by a few days, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And so I come home, and I, like, literally ordered a pregnancy test on DoorDash or something. Logan claims that he went and bought it, but I specifically remember ordering it from the grocery store, so I don't know why we're remembering the story differently, but but our friend was with us, and I took the test. I honestly wasn't really expecting it to be positive, because we were like, there was only one time that I could have even got pregnant, so, you know, like I said, I guess I'm just really fertile. Yeah, it was positive, and Logan's mom was literally, like, minutes away from coming to our house to babysit, because we were doing something that day, and, like, she was coming to take care of the Layla and Anna. And she shows up, Logan just, like, hid in the bathroom the whole time, and I had to just, like, pretend that I didn't just find out I was pregnant again 2 minutes earlier. And I remember my friend Lizzie, who was with us, was, like, running out, like, trying to hide all of, like, the boxes of pregnancy tests that were, like, out on the counter. And it was really dramatic, and I was just like, oh, hey, Julie, like, what's up?
Just, like, didn't phase you.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, Logan's just in the bathroom, he probably won't be coming out, so don't wait for him. But yeah, he was definitely panicking. But then after, like, at the end of the day, we were both just, like, excited, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like you guys have the perfect little family.
Yeah.
So, like, little family of 5.
I know. And we always talk about it now, like, wow, we, like, cannot imagine, like, if we didn't have Millie here with us. Like,
Did you have any symptoms with all 3 of the kids?
I would say Anna was my most, like, problematic, symptomatic pregnancy. With my first, I had a good amount of morning sickness, but like not anything too bad. I was just like a little bit nauseous for like a month, and then I was fine. And after that, I had like basically no symptoms. I just like had a bump, and it was like chill, it was fine. My pregnancy was technically high risk because Layla had like a growth problem. I had to have a bunch of extra ultrasounds to like monitor her growth, but she ended up being completely fine.
And you have that with all 3 of the kids though, right?
Yeah, so then my next 2 pregnancies, my babies were just smaller. So in the beginning, they were like below the 10th percentile for both of them. That was turned around pretty quickly. So Layla's pregnancy super easy, and then Anna's, I was really sick the whole time. Did you have any like morning sickness with Sawyer?
I did, but it only lasted till about like 18-ish weeks. But like mine wasn't necessarily being like nauseous. I would just throw up.
Really?
Yeah, like I would just like get sick. But I figured out, and I don't know if you figured this out too, if I didn't eat, I would be more sick.
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest thing that for me, because with Anna, I guess I just did not
you don't want to eat.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's hard to force yourself to do it because with Anna, I just like couldn't make myself do it, and I didn't even think about that being like a cure for it.
No, it's like the opposite. You'd think
Yeah.
like if I don't eat, I will be less sick.
Yeah, and I won't be throwing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Anna, I just had not figured that out, and like, I wish somebody would have told me, or I would have figured that out.
It took me a while. It took me like until 13 weeks to actually realize what to do.
Yeah. But I ended up losing so much weight. I was like underweight up until like halfway through my pregnancy. I was like so sick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like terrifying. I look back at pictures and I like wish that somebody would have told me to just like make myself eat in the morning. But then with Millie, that's what I did, because with my third, I realized like if I just eat like a snack like as soon as I wake up, then I wouldn't be sick. And honestly, I maybe felt nauseous a few times with her, but I never had anything bad.
I would always like wake up and eat like a Pop-Tart or a waffle and be like instantly like feel so much better.
Yeah.
That was like a craving of mine, and like everything else was versions. Besides I loved like the Good Ice.
Oh yes, that was the weirdest thing for my pregnancies too, and I feel like so many people talk about this.
It has to be the circle ice.
Yeah, the crunchy ice. We would go out, like, for all of my pregnancies, I just wanted to chew ice, and it's an iron deficiency thing.
It is, because I was anemic too.
Yeah, which I think is pretty common in a lot of pregnancies, because I mean, like, your body's just taking everything in you to like grow your baby, so it makes sense. But yeah, I would have Logan run out to like the Wawa here, because they have like the ice machine that has crunchy ice. And then with my third, I bought a crunchy ice maker because I was like, you know what, I just need it right in my kitchen.
I would buy the like really big bags from Chick-fil-A and just put them in like this big storage and just like have my cup and just go get my ice throughout the day.
Yeah, that was the best. Now I try to chew ice and I'm like, how did I do this like my whole pregnancy?
I'm still anemic, like severely anemic, so really? I love ice.
You still do? Yeah. As far as cravings, I, with Layla, mostly craved, like, healthy things, like fruits, vegetables, like, crunchy, watery things. And then with Anna, obviously I was really sick, but my first cravings were more, like, grilled cheese, stuff like that.
Like comfort food?
Yeah, like, I always wanted, like, mac and cheese, like, chicken soup, like, salty, like, savory stuff. And then with Millie, it was, like, more just random, and I was more just, like, eating to avoid being like sick like I was with
you learned your lesson with Anna.
Yeah, so then I was like, I'm just gonna have the time of my life and just eat everything.
You might as well, because it was your last pregnancy.
And I definitely like I think I gained the most weight that pregnancy too, but honestly I didn't even really keep track.
I gained like 60 pounds, and I ate like good. Like, I'm not a believer in like you eating for two. Like, I still ate for like myself and like just ate, you know, like normally. But, like, I still gained so much weight.
It's, like, hard to avoid. And it's, like, a lot of water weight, I think.
It is. I couldn't fit any of these rings on.
Yeah, that's why I never got my ring resize. Because me and Logan got engaged, like, after Anna was born, before I was pregnant with Millie. And my ring did not fit, so I never got it resized once I got pregnant with Millie. So I was like, I know I'm gonna swell.
Wait, it's kind of like it was meant to be. Like,
he
got you a bigger size because he knew you were gonna be pregnant and your fingers were gonna swell.
Yeah, true.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah, he did.
Good job, Logan.
Yeah, a lot of people ask a lot of questions about that, like weight gain during pregnancy and like losing the weight after pregnancy, which is like pretty like I feel like a big topic that I remember that was like my number one concern when I was pregnant with Layla. I was like, oh my god, like I'm never gonna look the same.
Me too. I was like, I'm gonna be big.
Yeah.
Like, am I always gonna be big?
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, I'm just gonna look like this forever. But honestly, with like first pregnancies, like people always talk about bouncing back from pregnancy, which is like a lot of people find like toxic to like talk about, because like you shouldn't have to feel like you have to like bounce back, because obviously
take the time that you need to feel comfortable with your skin. Not like you need to reach a certain number. Like,
and to be honest, like your body isn't ever gonna be the same, because most people get stretch marks. Most people's bodies just are different after pregnancy, and
in the best way though, honestly.
And I learned to like appreciate all of that, like those things, like all of the stretch marks and everything. Like even though like at first I was like, oh my god, this is awful, like now I like love it, because I was like, oh, I got these when I was like pregnant with Layla.
Yeah, they're kind of like reminders.
It's a reminder, yeah.
But I feel like it makes you more confident with your body too, knowing that like your body literally grew and nourished this little baby that you just pushed out of your vagina.
Yeah, exactly. It
like,
reminds you of, like,
I did that. Like, so my body looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, it reminds you of like what your body's capable of, and it's crazy. I would say with Millie, I definitely gained the most.
I've only had one pregnancy, but with Sawyer, I did gain quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like bouncing back wise, do you think it was easier right after Layla, or do you think it was easier after Anna or Millie?
So definitely with Layla, it was like easier, and then with Anna, like I feel like it just, as you have more, gets like a little bit less easy to like bounce back. But
you also did have your pregnancies like
yeah, they were all
closer.
super close, and I guess like being young, people always say is like makes it easier too, because you like your skin is still more elasticy.
Yes,
but
elasticy.
But yeah, I would definitely say it's been hardest like this time around. I have had 3 kids, so it's like definitely not the same as like my first time around.
You still look hot.
Thank you. Like, that's the goal. That's all we need. I'm still a MYLF, so it's fine.
Oh, for sure. The ultimate MYLF.
I feel like the biggest thing is that I've just learned to be like confident in
absolutely
the fact that like we talked about, like my body did what it did, so I'm not as worried about like what I look like anymore. Which is hard for a lot of moms, I think.
I feel like with girls in general, that can just be a hard standard to live up to, is like bouncing back or looking skinny or not having stretch marks or anything like that.
Yeah, which is like crazy because all that stuff is normal. Like I have stretch marks everywhere.
And if
I
someone
have
makes
cellulite everywhere.
Yeah, if someone makes you feel bad for it, then they're just genuinely not a good person.
Yeah. And honestly, like as much as I am like more confident in my body how it is now after having kids, even though it's not the same, I definitely still am self-conscious about it sometimes. Like I feel like everyone is a little bit. Yeah. Like when I post things, like
I feel like it's always normal to have those feelings, for sure.
Like when I post things, I like definitely avoid like posting pictures that look like I have cellulite and like not like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like I don't want to come on here and act like I'm like fully confident and will like, oh yeah, like I still try to hide it, which is maybe toxic. I just don't want people to have the wrong idea. It's
literally so normal because I do the same things. Like I have stretch marks on my side, but like I'll wear like high-waisted or something just
to
like
hide it,
to cover it. But I'm still proud of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's like a balance. You know, we're still normal people, but we also have the confidence in ourselves to know that 100%. We are MYLFs.
Yes.
Okay, so I know there's a funny story because you have 3 girls.
Yes.
But the last pregnancy, there was a little bit of a situation.
Yeah, so okay, wait, actually super interesting story. So I have 3 girls, and I was actually just talking the other night with my brother-in-law Colby, and we were talking about this gene that people can have. I totally forget exactly what it's called, but it's a gene that some people have that make them only able to carry girl pregnancies. So we were thinking like, do I have that? Because I come from a line of like so many girls, and my mom actually did. I have 2 sisters, and now I have a little brother, but like for the longest time it was literally all just girls. So I was thinking like maybe I like have a gene where I can only have girls.
Have a 4th one just to see.
Yeah, no. So I have all girls. With my first, I was really hoping for a girl because I was a single mom, and I don't know, I just like I wanted to have a daughter.
Yeah, that bond.
Yeah.
Not saying you wouldn't have a bond with your son either,
but like because I don't know. Yeah, I just really wanted a girl.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with like wanting a certain gender, because you're going to love your baby either way. So she was a girl. We were all really excited. And then with Anna, I was pretty 50-50. Like I was cool with whatever, but like Logan.
Because you already had a girl.
Yeah. And but Logan's friends were also like team boy. And we did this big gender reveal with fireworks, and like it was mostly like, it was a lot of Logan's friends there. And I just remember they were all like kind of disappointed. And I was like, damn. But yeah, so then we had Anna, and God, I'm so glad that we have all girls. But then for our 3rd, we were kind of like, maybe we'll have a boy this time. We did an early gender test. It's like I forget what it's called.
Sneak peek.
Yeah, sneak peek blood test. So they send you a kit to like draw your own blood, which is like kind of hard. You have to like prick your finger. Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
You have to be like super careful too, because if you have any like male DNA, like even on the counter or something,
you have to,
it will make your results like inaccurate.
Yeah, so we did our best to like keep everything like not contaminated. I had my nurse friend Autumn come over and like prick my finger and all that stuff. So we did the test and sent it back, and it said we were having a boy. We did a gender reveal with like all of our friends, blue confetti. Everyone was so excited. Everyone was like, oh my God, like we were all like so excited. We had a boy name picked out. I started buying boy clothes. So that's like, you can do it at like 12 weeks, 13 weeks,
you can do it
or something.
at like
super early.
6 weeks, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it really early.
Probably would not recommend doing that though, like so early. Like 6 weeks is really early.
I think I waited till like closer to 12 or something. But then normally like when you find out just on an ultrasound, it's like closer to 20, like at like the anatomy scan.
So you had your gender reveal, and then what made you realize it was a girl?
Okay, so we went to the anatomy scan, and they said like, oh, it looks like it's a girl. And I like just didn't believe it at first. I was like so upset because I was like really excited that we were gonna have a boy.
So were you like kind of grieving?
Yes.
Not like you lost a son, but technically
like in my head, that's what it felt like. It was like I was grieving the loss of like this idea of a life with a son.
Yeah.
So I was like crying for like days. And I like kind of was in denial at first too, because the doctor or like the ultrasound tech was like, yeah, like it looks like a girl, like not saying 100%, but like it looks like a girl. And I remember Logan was so upset. He was kind of like angry because he was like, we shouldn't have done that early test. Like it just got our hopes up. So I went and scheduled more ultrasounds at like private places where you can go, like the one that you did.
Yeah, I did that with Sawyer just to see her.
Yeah, just to have like, you can do like the 3D scan. So I scheduled like, I think we might have done 2 more or 1 more of those. Well, at first I was devastated. Like I cried, and Logan actually took it fine at like after we like fully had it confirmed it was that she was a girl.
It's kind of like you don't know what to believe too, because you're like,
yeah,
oh, it's a boy, oh, it's a girl. You're like, okay, so what is it?
So that I started doing like intense Googling of like people like being in certain like situations like that too, where they're like, oh, the ultrasound tech says it looks like a girl, but like sometimes it's like
hiding.
Harder to tell. Yeah, like it's hiding. So I was like in complete denial. I was like, no, they're wrong. But then finally I accepted it. I was like, okay, yeah, we're having another girl. And then we picked a name and it was fine.
Then
but
perfect 3 girls.
Yeah. And I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. But
it kind of is very fitting. Like, just seeing you guys all together just makes sense.
Yeah, Logan's such a girl dad. And I like, yeah.
You're a girl mom too.
I'm a girl mom, yeah.
Do you think, like, since you weren't sure, like, obviously you knew the person was like, oh, it's a girl, but when you had Billy, were like, oh, maybe it'll come out a boy, like maybe they were wrong?
I think like a little bit in the back of my head I was like, what if, I think me and Logan were talking about that, like what if she comes out and like she is a boy.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that would have been something else.
How was your pregnancy with Millie?
So I was pretty miserable because honestly, mainly like the sickness wasn't too bad. But the main things were, like, it was more physically hard because way physically harder than any of my other pregnancies, like, obviously other than Anna, like, in my sickness with my second. But my back was, like, hurting so bad. Millie was positioned in such a weird way that she was, like, lopsided. So, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was, like, my bump was, like, lopsided, and then my back was hurting so bad, and, like, I still have back pain. And also I had 2 toddlers at the time, which makes it a lot harder. Like, being pregnant with toddlers is challenging. Logan and I both, like, work from home, so just doing social media stuff together, which is amazing. Like, I'm so lucky that, like, that's our situation. So luckily we both could be home with both kids, but it still is so hard to be pregnant with toddlers.
I'm sure. Especially, like, the ages that they were at.
Yeah.
Because they're just getting into everything. Like, busy bees.
Yeah, not to say I would like change anything, but I would definitely say like the golden like age gap is like, I want to say,
I want to know this personally, actually.
I want to say like getting pregnant around age like 2, like 18 months to like 2, because that's around the age. A lot of people say like terrible 2s is like so hard, but I think that age like 1 to 2 is harder because you have like an active kid who can run around and get into stuff and do stuff, have more like tantrums and all these things.
But they don't communicate, I feel like, as well as a 2-year-old does.
Exactly. Like once Layla was 2 and once Anna was 2, they could communicate with us their needs way better than like from age 1 to 2. So I feel like that's the hardest. So I would definitely say like being pregnant like a little bit, like around age 2.
Plus it gives your body a break. A little bit of a longer break to really heal and be ready.
Yeah, I remember my doctors were saying like, why did you get pregnant so early? Like they were like yelling at me and I was like, sorry.
You had a terrible doctor.
I know.
So
I've had some terrible experiences with OBGYNs. But yeah, so I remember they were like, you're supposed to wait 18 months to get pregnant. And I was like, it's too late. Like, I'm already pregnant. But yeah, so that's what doctors recommend. And it makes sense. But also love having the close age gaps. Like, it's also fun. So.
That was always a goal of mine to, like, have kids close in age. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. But
you never know. Prince Charming's on his way.
So let's talk about your birth stories. Wait, did you say Brock?
I said Prince Charming. You heard Brock. You heard Brock.
Just ingrained in my head.
Yeah. Anyway, wonder if Brock's watching this.
Brock better be watching this.
I did all natural births with all my kids because with my first, I was literally 17 and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm like going all natural, like having no meds. Like I just didn't even think that was possible. And
So you went in thinking, okay, like
I'm getting an epidural.
I'm gonna get an epidural.
Yeah. But my like labor situation with my first daughter was really weird. I got my membrane swept, which if you guys don't know what that is, I'm not gonna explain, so go look it up. But I got my membrane swept on a Friday, and I was supposed to be induced on a Monday because I like chose to be induced. Like it was about a week early, and with my whole like high risk birth or pregnancy with Layla, they like recommend inducing a little bit early, so I was gonna be induced a week early. And then luckily that night, Sunday night, like the day before I was supposed to go in for induction, I like ended up going into labor. But I didn't have contractions. I just had like back labor, which, you know, everyone always says like, oh, you'll know when you're having contractions. But I did not know.
I feel like that's such a weird statement because like you really have no clue what it's gonna feel like or when your body is gonna like start. Like you can have Braxton Hicks and be like, okay, this is it.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like you just, especially your first, you just have no clue what to expect.
Yeah, and everyone has different like pain tolerances, like or different.
Or if you do have back labor, like, and you have back pain throughout your pregnancy, like mine, like you're like, oh wait, what is this? Like it's nothing different.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard, but I would say like the way to know is just have like keeping track of your contractions because even and also keeping in mind the back labor thing because even with the way I kind of figured it out with Layla is that like my back pain was coming and going in the same rhythm as contractions come and go and like peak and then like slow down, I guess. And so that's how I figured it out. And I was telling my aunt who I lived with at the time and my grandma who was there for like my induction the next day. I was like, guys, I think I might like be going into labor. And they were like, whoa, no, like you're literally standing here eating chips. You're fine. Like not like they were gaslighting me or anything, but they were definitely like, you're fine. And then like a few hours later, I like the back pain got so bad I couldn't lay down in bed. Everyone was already asleep. It was like 1 a.m. And then I hear my water break and it pops.
Isn't that the craziest feeling?
Weirdest thing ever. And I like panicked because I was like, oh my God, I'm about to have this baby right here. And so I like ran to the bathroom. I called my aunt who was like sleeping and I was like, we need to go to the hospital now. And by the time we got there, it was just too late for me to get meds. So I ended up just having her all natural, which was like crazy, but your body really just takes over. Like it just like knows what to do. So yeah, and I remember like telling them at the hospital, like, I feel like I have to push.
You have that crazy feeling too that's just like, it's honestly like a sense of peace that you get when you feel ready. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Like a wave of just
chills.
Wave of just like peacefulness and you're like, okay, like I can do this.
Yeah, I experienced that like the best with Millie and it was crazy because like by then I kind of knew. And it was honestly like the most like euphoric feeling of like you're having these intense contractions, like they've been building up so much to their like peak like intensity and like pain. And then you all of a sudden are like, it was like I could fall asleep. And I was just like so happy, relaxed, at peace. It's like you can fall asleep. And I feel like it's like your body like just preparing you, like giving you one last moment of rest before you like full send it.
Baby.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely how it was. And
my
I remember
mom took a picture of me like right before, it was a minute before I pushed out Sawyer. And it like, you can just tell like my whole posture and like in my face of just like.
You're just like.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm so glad I have that picture.
It's such a like spiritual experience. Like it's crazy. So I ended up having Layla. Oh, the nurse delivered her because my doctor didn't make it, and because it happened so fast.
Damn, this doctor does not do her job.
Yeah, she really does. Since I had Layla without medication, I was like, okay, like I can do that again. And I kind of had done a little bit more research and heard like other people's stories and realized like it was kind of nice to be able to get up and walk around right after. And I'm also terrified of needles, and the needle to get like the epidural is huge.
It doesn't hurt at all.
Okay, well that's good to know, but I was terrified. And then you also have to get a catheter. Some people have to get a catheter.
I did not.
Okay,
I think it's only if you like cannot physically pee.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well for some reason I was under the impression that if you get an epidural you have to get a catheter. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
I could be totally wrong, but I didn't get one.
Those were my
Well, if you guys know.
Yeah, comment down below. Did you get a catheter? Or and then with Anna, I decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go all natural again. My labor with her was a little bit more intense. Like, it wasn't just the back labor. It was more, like, long and, like, a lot of contractions. And I had to walk around the hospital. And that was my first time really experiencing, like, the, like, prolonged labor and like real contractions, because with Layla it was only like a few hours of
So it
like
was
regular
so different
ones.
then.
Yeah, so I was more like, oh my god, this is like what it's really like. Because with Layla, for some reason, I feel like I got it like, it was kind of like felt like an easy way out somehow, because like I didn't really have to experience like long terrible contractions. But with Anna, I did for like longer. Still was only if like I want to say 4 or 5 hours, and then she was born. How long was your labor, Madison?
Mine was almost 19 hours.
Yeah. She's crazy.
Yeah, but I was induced. So we definitely have different stories for sure.
Yeah, we'll dive more into Madison's whole birth story too on another episode. So then with Millie, again, I was like, yep, we're going all natural again. And I honestly will say, like, my birth with Millie was probably like the best day ever. Like, it was so peaceful. We had just bought this house. We were in our first like real home that we owned. I don't know, it was just the most peaceful day. Like, we had spent
like you were completing your family.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it felt like the last, like, our last hurrah.
Oh, I kind of love that.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was like a fall day, and it was so nice outside. We had just spent a month in Florida because I wanted to spend like a month down there before our Millie was born. So we had like prepped the whole house, spent a month in Florida, and then came back, and it was like literally so peaceful. And I woke up at like 6 a.m, and I immediately knew that I was in labor because I was like having contractions and like actually knew from 2 like pregnancy experiences what it was like.
Was it more similar with Anna's, like the contractions?
Yeah, it was more like real contractions.
So you knew like what to expect.
Like immediately. And even the night before, I was having like little minor ones, so I was like, maybe. I'd also gotten some like crazy news that night, so I feel like I kind of got like stressed into like full-blown labor. But yeah, it was the most peaceful morning. Like, I spent like a few hours that morning just like walking around, like make sure everything was ready, everyone was sleeping. And it was just amazing. And like,
that's so sweet though. Yeah, like just
so
like
great.
Preparing, like you're just
nesting. Like the final nesting. It was so nice. I also like I was painting a dollhouse for the kids, and I was like just painting it, and it was just like so happy. We went to the hospital, stopped at Panera, grabbed some food.
I remember you FaceTimed me, or you called me or something.
Yeah,
like, we're on the way to the hospital. I was like,
I know.
And it was not that long after that you did FaceTime me.
Yeah.
And Millie was there.
I know, yeah. It was really fast. So she was born an hour after we got to the hospital, because I also wanted to wait it out as long as possible, because I knew I was going all natural, and I was like, I just want to be home doing this. And we also live like right down the street, like literally 5 minutes from the hospital, so I wasn't worried about that. Yeah, so we got there, and honestly, my hospital experience with Millie was a little bit rough. Like, nothing crazy, but I just remember like they were like, I asked for water. They like wouldn't bring me water for the longest time. They had like a new nurse in there, so they were like teaching this nurse how to check how dilated I was, like on me while I'm in labor. I was like, I'm not a guinea pig. I'm a woman in labor. Bring me some water, please. The doctor came in, and this is the same doctor that missed Layla's birth. Not super fond of her. No offense, no shade or anything.
Okay, well, I am throwing shade. You do not do your job good.
True.
Find a new pathway in life.
Okay, thank you, Madison.
You're welcome.
Just doesn't have the best like bedside mannerism, which is, I've said this a lot of times about her. But while I'm like pushing Millie out, like literally mid push, like head is halfway out, she tells me to be quiet. Like literally yells at me, was like, you need to be quiet so I can hear.
Hear what?
Or so you can hear me, or something like that. And I was literally shocked, and it made me like completely like fall out of my rhythm of like pushing Millie out.
Your body definitely like goes through this like when to push, and it's just like very natural. Yeah. So like with someone being like saying that and it's like kind of startling you, I'm sure it does like take you out of like your rhythm and be like, what the heck is happening? Like, I need to focus.
Yeah, it definitely did, because like I felt like I was so in sync with my body and my contractions when to push and everything, and her saying that definitely made me like choke back almost, like hold back from pushing. And yeah, it definitely messed me up. And then for like, I want to say a good minute there, everyone was sort of in a panic because I like completely lost the rhythm. And I remember one of the nurses was just like, just focus. She was like, what'd she say? She was like, just close your eyes and push or something. And I just remember,
snap you back into it.
Yeah, and she completely snapped me back into it, and then I pushed Billy out, and it was fine. But it was definitely a panic for a second, and it did kind of, and like giving birth is such a like spiritual, intimate like experience, and like a special moment for every like mother.
Absolutely.
So having somebody like
disrupt
with bad energy there, like just was kind of frustrating. But yeah, so that definitely disrupted it. But she was fine, and I'm just glad Millie was healthy and everything was fine. I also didn't have any tearing with Millie, which was nice.
You are so lucky.
Well, yeah, I mean, my first show I did, but with Millie I didn't, thank God. But yeah, and then also, fun fact, after you give birth, you have to give birth to your placenta, if you didn't know that already.
Mine just slid right out.
Yeah.
I didn't have to like do anything. It's just like,
Mine I did, like, definitely had to push. But I also remember my doctor was like shoving on my stomach trying to get it out, and I was like kind of uncomfortable. So that part's not fun.
Like throughout your hospital stay, did they consistently push on your stomach?
Yeah, they come. I don't know exactly. I don't remember why, but they have to come and make sure you're not like.
It's something with bleeding or something. But like
that's
mine
not
did
fun.
not hurt.
Oh my gosh, mine did. I hated that.
I was
maybe
scared.
I was just
Because I heard people say how bad it was, and it's like, oh shit.
like, why doesn't it hurt?
Yeah. Then I was like, yeah, what's wrong with me?
Those were all my birth stories. So fun how they were so like similar but so different.
It's fun hearing other people's birth stories and comparing them to yours too, because it's, like you said, it is so different, and you're just like, wow, like we're doing the same thing. We're growing a baby, we're nourishing a baby, we're pushing out a baby, but it's completely different.
Yeah, like your body's doing the like having the same like human natural instinct for labor, but like it's so different for everyone. It's just crazy. Thank you guys so much for listening to all these fun birth stories. Stay tuned for Madison's, because we're gonna dive deeper next episode into Madison's whole birth story, which is also crazy. So yeah, I'm excited.
Very similar, but also really different too.
Yeah, because you were induced.
I was induced, so I have a different perspective on it.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this first podcast episode.
Yes. Make sure you are following us on all our other social platforms, Instagram, TikTok. We'll have them all linked as well.
Yes, and stay tuned. We're going to be posting every Monday.
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely every week.
Yeah.
Probably Mondays.
All right, can't wait to see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.